There's a coffee can sitting on my porch rail, half full of a powder so fine it looks like flour. It's not flour. I bought it for $3.79 at a hardware store outside Millersburg, Ohio. And it's the reason I haven't called an exterminator in 6 years. Pest control companies charge $450 to $600 a year for a quarterly protection plan. I know because I paid for one, from 2015 to 2018, and watched the same guy spray the same blue liquid along my foundation 4 times a year while my hostas still got chewed to lace. He wasn't lying to me exactly. He just wasn't going to mention the things sitting in his own truck that cost less than his lunch. Here's what I believed for probably 30 years. Bugs die because poison kills them. Chemical goes in, bug goes down. That's the whole story, right? Wrong. Diatomaceous earth, that's the powder in the coffee can, doesn't poison anything. It's ground up fossils. Microscopic freshwater algae, called diatoms. Dead for millions of years, crushed into a powder with edges so sharp under a microscope they look like broken glass. A soft-bodied insect crawls through it, and those edges slice into its exoskeleton. The bug doesn't get sick. It dries out. Takes about 48 hours. No nervous system attack. No residue that soaks into your soil. Nothing your dog can lick off the patio and end up at the vet over. And that's the part nobody in the pest control industry wants explained to you in plain English. Because a product that costs under $4 and lasts an entire growing season doesn't exactly support a subscription model. This isn't some TikTok discovery. Farmers in the Skagit Valley in Washington state were dusting grain silos with it back in the 1950s to stop weevils without contaminating the harvest. The USDA has been studying food-grade diatomaceous earth since 1960. It's not fringe, it's just quiet because there's no marketing budget behind a mineral you scoop out of a lake bed in. Only buy food-grade DE, the bag has to say it, because pool-grade diatomaceous earth is heat-treated and can genuinely hurt your lungs. Food-grade is safe enough that people take a spoonful of it for gut health, though that's a separate conversation. For aphids and soft-bodied crawlers on your tomatoes and roses, dust the powder directly onto the leaves, top and underside, early in the morning while there's still dew. The moisture is what makes it stick. A thin, even coating. You'll see the aphid population crash within 3 days. For slugs eating your hostas at night, lay a ring around the base of the plant, about 2 inches wide. Slugs won't cross it. Their bodies are basically a wet mussel with a shell on top, and the powder rets them fast if they try. For ants coming up through cracks in your patio, pour it straight into the crack, not around it. The scout ants track it back to the colony on their legs, and it does the rest. Takes longer than the aphids. Closer to a week before you notice the trails have gone quiet. Because you're not just killing the ants you see, you're wiping out a colony that might run 30 feet under your driveway. For squash bugs and cucumber beetles, which is the one that finally converted my neighbor Carol after 2 seasons of losing every zucchini plant she owned. Dust the base of the stem and the soil surface around it, not just the leaves. Those 2 pests spend more time at ground level than people realize, and by the time you see damage on the leaves, the real population is already living in the mulch. One warning that matters more than people admit. It stops working the second it gets wet. Rain, sprinklers, morning dew burning off into a heavier mist, any of it, and you're reapplying. I dust every 5 to 7 days during a wet spring. In a dry July, I've gone 3 weeks on one application. Keep the can somewhere dry between uses, because DE pulls moisture out of the air too, not just out of bugs. And a damp clump at the bottom of the container is dead weight. The mistake almost everyone makes the first time. They dump it on like they're seasoning a steak. Thick clumps don't work better. They actually work worse, because the bugs can walk over a clumped pile without their bodies ever touching the sharp edges. They need that thin, dry, even dust to do the cutting. A light hand does more damage to a bug population than a heavy one. Took me 2 ruined batches of kale to learn that. Also, and this one surprised me, it doesn't discriminate. It'll take out ladybugs and bees just as fast as it takes out the pests you're targeting, if you dust it on an open flower during the day. Apply it to leaves and soil, never onto blooms, and do it in early morning or after sunset when pollinators aren't active. And wear a dust mask when you're applying it, even outdoors. It's non-toxic to swallow. Mineral dust. And breathing it in repeatedly isn't something your lungs need any more than they need drywall dust. My grandmother kept a can of this under her sink in Wayne County and called it the dust, like it needed no other name. She never sprayed a single chemical on her tomatoes in 50 years of growing them. And I used to think that was old-fashioned stubbornness. It wasn't. She just never got sold on the idea that you need a subscription to keep bugs off a plant. Next time somebody hands you a quote for quarterly pest service, ask yourself what they're really charging you for. Because it isn't the bugs. It's making sure you never find out what's sitting in a bag at the hardware store for less than the price of your coffee this morning.